closing numbers, stocks climbed again on Wall Street, giving the S&P 500 index its fourth straight gain and pulling it within 2% of the record high it set in February. The benchmark index added 0.6% yesterday, following up on gains in European markets and across much of Asia. Negotiators on Capitol Hill reported some progress in talks for more support for the economy, and pressure is mounting on them to act quickly. Also happening on Wall Street, Disney shares of the entertainment giant surged more than 9% after its fiscal third quarter report showed strong growth for its streaming services. The company's revenues came in weaker than expected, but it said its streaming subscriptions reached 100 million and announced it will release the highly anticipated remake of Mulan direct to streaming in September. And Novavax, the pharmaceutical stock, jumped 14% after the company released information about its COVID-19 vaccine candidate that shows promising results in a phase 1 trial. There you have it. The markets always seem to bounce back. You know, we get worried and then here you go. We see numbers like we saw from Disney, although their theme park numbers are down as expected, but still they're doing really well with Disney Plus and streaming.
Laverne, you know, as you were reading that story, I did a little digging, and I was listening, but I did a little digging. So Disney Plus in particular, you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. The streaming services, you said, up significantly. Stock is up. Everything's up. But then they furloughed some employees earlier in the year. And I was thinking to myself as you were reading, I was like, you know, there should not be a single layoff at Disney, like, for the next 10 years, considering how good everything is going.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works.
No, it's not how it works. So we talk about this many times on this show. If you're new to the program, you know, we discuss certain things like this. I don't know if injustices is too strong of a word, but keep this in mind. The Disney chairman, Bob Iger is his name, is going to forego his $3 million salary for this year as a result of the pandemic and all that is going on. That's a good thing, Laverne, but he's worth about $690 million. So if he foregoes his $3 million salary this year, I don't think he'll miss it too much. Most impactful though, bonuses. In 2018, $65.5 million bonus, $47 million bonus in 2019. I think he'll be okay if he goes without his $3 million salary for this year. I just say all that to say, and I don't mean to bore you, but it's fascinating when you hear about stocks on the rise and streaming services on the rise. Money's being made everywhere except by so many people that need them. So it is a little bit troubling, disconcerting when you hear of numbers such as these, when you have so many Americans right now who are struggling because the unemployment benefits package expired a week ago.
Very true. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. I mean, Wall Street, of course, is not reflective of Main Street. And, right. But one industry that is struggling is the cruise lines. We've talked about that. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian have extended their U.S. cruise suspensions to October 31st. So if you are lucky enough to have a little bit of savings to be able to go on a cruise or a vacation, you won't be doing that before October 31st. They've constantly been extending and re-extending the deadline. It's just they have not found a way to make it safe for you to travel on these huge cruise ships, many of them carrying 4,000, 5,000 people, of course, with small size, close quarters, small cabins. So that industry is definitely suffering even more than the airlines because they haven't been able to get started at all. So that deadline, October 31st now.
Well, we have another doozy for you. Southwest Airlines is cutting back on cabin cleaning procedures that were instituted because of the pandemic. The air carrier rolled out the enhanced cleaning program back in March. Scaling it back will mean changes such as no longer sanitizing seatbelts between flights. The company says cleanings will now focus on a few items like tray tables and lavatories. Thank goodness for that. According to a memo sent to flight attendants, the move will reduce the time planes spend on the ground between flights. Deep overnight cleanings will continue. So again, I just want to focus on this one line. Cleanings will now focus on a few items like tray tables and lavatories.
Emphasize your sarcasm, Anthony. I love your sarcasm. You know, that's the sports guy in you. Yeah, common sense.
Yes.
The one thing that everybody must touch all the time, several times, is your seatbelt, because you're getting in and out. If you have to get up to use the restroom or get up to stretch your legs, you're taking your seatbelt on and off. And most flights these days require you to keep your seatbelts on during the entire flight. I remember when I used to travel and you didn't have to wear your seatbelts until you were taking off and landing. Now most flights you have to wear your seatbelt the entire flight. So of course if you have to get up or move or whatever, you're going to be touching your seatbelt. So the fact that they thought that was a good idea, let's stop cleaning the seatbelts.
So what does it mean? You have to bring your own wipes and do it yourself?
You should.
I mean, for
you
goodness sake.
absolutely should.
Now, keep in mind, the airlines already have restrictions where you can only bring a Ziploc bag full of Ziploc bag size of items. So do you have to buy the wipes in the airport? Are they going to be $20 per pack?
I think they already are.
That's a good point.
Trust me, I'm a woman who, you know me, I love my cosmetics, I'm a girly girl, I have all kinds of stuff, and yeah, it's difficult to travel, but I do, even before the COVID-19, because I do travel so much, I always travel with small cans of Lysol, which are almost impossible to get right now, but the tiny ones, and I would spray things down in hotels and in airports wherever it didn't seem clean enough. So you are going to have to be very vigilant about bringing your own items and keeping yourself safe, because the airlines, they're still struggling. They're still trying to make money. They still are losing money. And so for them, they need to turn these flights around very quickly and stay on schedule. In order to do that, they don't want to take as much time to clean. So for them, cleaning all the seatbelts is too time consuming.
Interesting you say that, because in that memo to flight attendants, the company said, and I quote, "As our flight schedule evolves, we are returning to standard turnaround time." So am I to take that to mean now that things are picking up again,